C provides a set of character functions, built-in character functions, which are used to manipulate or used to perform operations on characters. So since C programming, all of these character built-in functions reside in the header file, that is ctype.h. So we need to include this header file ctype.h in the program in order to use these built-in functions. Now we'll see one by one each of these built-in functions. First one is AL num or is alphanumeric. So this function is used to check if the entered character is an alphanumeric character. That is, if it involves any alphabet from A to Z, that is in lowercase or in uppercase, or any digits from 0 to 9. For example, you can see here is AL num of A. So this function will return true because a is an alphabet. Now same thing you can see here. Another example is ALNum of ampersand I have given. Ampersand is not a character nor a digit, so that's why the function will return it as false. Next is alpha. This function is used to check if the entered character is an alphabet. So if the entered character is alphabet, then the function will return true or non-zero value. If the entered character is anything other than the alphabet, then the function will return false. Next is the isDigit function. This function is used to check if the input is digit or not. So this function will return true only if digit is entered. If anything other than the digit is entered as input, then it will return false. Next is lower. So this function is used to check if the entered character is in lowercase or not. So if the entered character is a lowercase alphabet, then it will return true. If anything other than the lowercase character, lowercase alphabet is given as input, then it will return false. Next is upper function is also used to check if the entered character or the alphabet is in uppercase or not. So is upper function will return true if the input alphabet is in uppercase. If anything other than the uppercase alphabet is entered as input, then the isUpper function will return false. Next function is isSpace. Now this function is used to check whether a given character is white space or not. So if white space is entered, then this function will return true. If anything other than the white space is entered, then this function will return false. Next is ASCII. So this function is used to test if the entered character is the ASCII code. That is, if the parameter is between 0 to 127, then that is the ASCII code. That's why you can see here is ASCII of 97. That is true because it's the ASCII value. If is ASCII of 200, if you give, then it returns false. So ASCII code is from 0 to 127. Next, two lower. Now, if the character is an uppercase character, that is from A to Z, then it is converted to lowercase. So this function is does not just check or it's not used to test any condition as such. This is used to perform some operation on the character. So if you enter a lowercase character, then it will convert it. If you enter uppercase character, then it will convert it into lowercase. So for example here, 2 lower of A, that is lowercase letter you have entered, it will convert it into uppercase. Now this here 2 lower, so this should be in lowercase t. Okay. Next, 2 upper. So this function again, if you enter a lowercase character, then it will convert it into uppercase character. That is lowercase alphabet. If you enter, it will convert it into uppercase alphabet. For example, 2 upper of A, the output will be A in uppercase. Next, to ASCII. So this function is used to convert the character to its equivalent ASCII value. So for example, if you enter any character, this function, if you use this function, this will return the ASCII value of that particular character. For example, to ASCII of A, that is 65, to ASCII of A lowercase is 97.
Now in the previous slides, we have seen that C supports a set of built-in character functions which can perform various tasks related to the characters. So all these character built-in functions are defined under the header file ctype.h. Now we'll see a sample program by making use of these built-in character functions. So write a C program to test whether a given character is an alphabet or a digit. We have to accept a character from the keyboard and check whether it is alphabet or digit and display suitable messages. So first line here is hash include stdio.h, which indicates that I am going to make use of standard input output library functions in order to show the result as well as accept the input from the user. So next is hash include c type dot h. This one I'm using because I am going to make use of built-in character functions. Next, void main marks the beginning of the program. Now I have to accept the input from the user and then I have to check whether it is alphabet or digit. So since I am accepting the input from the user, I need to store it in a variable. That's why I have defined a variable here, char c. C is the variable in which I am going to store whatever input the user gives. Next is the printf press any key. Now this is to indicate to the user that he has to press a key from the keyboard. Next, once the user presses a key, now that whatever input the user gives will be stored in variable C by making use of the function getChar. So getChar function accepts the input from the keyboard, that is a single character, and then stores it in C. Next, I am making use of decision making statement, that is if else, to make the decisions. First one is if alpha of C. Now is alpha of C will check whether whatever value is stored in C, whether it is an alphabet or not. If the user input is an alphabet which is stored in C, then is alpha will return true. Now whatever if is alpha returns true, then the if part becomes true and control goes inside the if part. So in the if part we have given a printf statement alphabet, indicating that the user, whatever input user has given is an alphabet, and that will be displayed as the result. Now if the user input is not an alphabet, then is alpha of C will return false and the control will not go inside the if part. So it will move to the else if part. Here we have made use of is digit of C. So is digit is the built-in function which checks whether the value is digit or not. So C is the variable in which the input value is stored. Now if the user has the input of user is a digit, then each digit will return true and the control will go to the else if part and print the output as digit. If the user input is not a digit, then each digit of C will return false and the control will go outside the else if part and move to the else part, that is a default part. So then it will print not an alphabet or not an alphanumeric character. Now the if else, how it works is, first the control goes to the first if statement. Now the if statement, if it is true, then only the control will go inside the if and execute it and come out of the program. If the if part is false, then it will move to the else if part. If else if part is true, it will execute the instruction within the else if part and then come out of the program. If else if part is also false, then it will go to the else part and whatever instructions are given under else part will be executed. So next program here is write a C program that reads a character from the keyboard and then print it in reverse case. So if the user inputs a character in lower case, then we have to print it in uppercase. If the user inputs a character in uppercase, then we have to print it in lowercase. So here we need to make use of some built-in character functions which convert from one type to another, from lower to upper or from upper to lower. So such functions we'll have to make use. And one more thing, we have to check what type of input the user has given, whether it is lowercase or whether it is uppercase. Based on that, we will have to perform the task. So we have to make some decision here. So that's why we need to make use of decision making statements as well as built-in character functions. So hash include stdio.h, as you all know, it is for the standard input output. Then I'm going to make use of the built-in character functions. That's why I have to include the ctype.h. Again, I have to accept a character from the user, that is from the keyboard. So I need to store it somewhere. So for that I have created, or I have declared a variable c, which is of character type. Next is a printf indicating the user to enter a character. Next, I have made use of getChar function. So getChar function will accept the input from the user and store it in variable c. Now I have the character which the user has input, which is stored in c now. Now I have to check whether it is lowercase or uppercase. So I have made use of if else statement over here. First one, that is a if is lower of c. Now is lower of c will check whatever value is stored in c, whether it is in lowercase or not. If the value is in lowercase, then the is lower of c will return true. So once is lower of c returns true, that means if part becomes true and the control goes inside the if part. So now, since the user input is in lowercase, I have to convert it into uppercase. Okay, so that is why I'm making use of 2 upper of c. So now 2 upper of c will convert whatever value is stored in c into uppercase. That value I'll have to store it again in another variable. That's why I made use of another variable ch. So ch equal to 2 upper of c will convert whatever input which is stored in c into uppercase. Then I have to display the result. I have to show the result, that is whatever value I have input which was there in c, I have converted into uppercase, so that I'll have to display it. That is why I have made use of putchar function. I can also make use of printf, since only single character I want to output, so I have made use of putchar of the putchar of ch. So ch is having the value which is converted into uppercase, that by using putchar I can display it on the screen. So now if is lower of c returns false, if the user has input uppercase, then is lower of c will return false. If it is false, then control will not go inside the if part, it will go to the else part. Now because the user has input the uppercase, now I again need not check whether it is uppercase as such. So directly I'll convert that into lowercase by making use of 2 lower of c. Now 2 lower of c will convert the value which is stored in c into lowercase, and that I'm going to store it in another variable ch. Just to show you the difference here, I have made use of printf and displaying the output. Or else I can also write it as putchar of ch here also, but instead of that I'm showing you using printf also I can print the same whatever is stored in c, single character. So percentage %c is the format specifier, /n indicating cursor must move to the next line, comma c. C is the name of the variable where the value is stored.
Now we'll see a program to accept a character and display its equivalent ASCII code. So this program, now we have to accept a character from the user and display the equivalent ASCII code. So we'll make use of the built-in function, that is toASCII. So a hash include stdio.h, that marks the beginning of the program, wherein it consists of the standard input output library functions. Next, hash include ctype.h. Now this header file I have included here because I have to make use of the built-in character function toASCII. So this is declared, or this is defined under the header file, that is ctype.h. So I have to include the ctype.h header file here in order to use the toASCII function. Next, void main or main. So void main indicates that the main function is not going to return any value. This marks the beginning of the program. Now the curly braces here indicate the beginning of the main function. Now I have used here two variables C and CH, both are of character type. So I need to accept the character from the user. So I have making use of this variable here C. Then CH I am using here to store the result of converting no getting the ASCII value of the entered character. So that's why I made use of these two variables, both are of character types. So next I have given here printf statement, that is to indicate the to inform the user to enter a character. Now once the user enters a character, then using the getChar function I'll accept the character and that will be stored in the variable C. Next, I am making use of the toASCII function. So toASCII of C, the entered character is there in the variable C. So I am passing that variable C as the argument to toASCII function. Now the toASCII function, it will accept the character and then get the equivalent ASCII code, and equivalent ASCII code is written by the toASCII function. That ASCII code will be stored in the variable ch. Next I have to display that so ASCII code, so I have used putChar function here, putChar ch, because the ASCII code is now stored in ch variable, so I have given putChar ch. So this function putChar ch, now this statement will display the equivalent ASCII code. Now we'll see some of the jump statements used in C. The jump statements are used to transfer the control to a particular block of statements for execution. For example, now first one is the break statement. So break statement causes the control to exit from the loop and execute the statements following the loop. Now the example we have seen in the switch case programs, wherein if one particular condition is met, that particular switch instruction whatever you are given in the case will be executed. After that we have to come out of that switch case, so we give the break statement so that the following statements are not executed. Another is go to statement. So this jump across the loop. So in case of go to statement, we make use of a label and specify if certain condition is met, then where the control has to start the execution. So for this we make use of a label and specify that go to and that particular label. Next we have the continue statement, that is keeps an iteration in a loop. For example, you have in a loop structure, you want to continue the execution irrespective of whether the condition is met or not. In some situations, we may need to continue further with the execution of the loop. In such cases, we make use of this continue statement. We'll see each of these with the suitable examples.
Go to statement is used to move the control from one part to the another part of the program, because as you know, C program, each line is executed one by one or a sequential execution, and there are certain situations wherein you may need to leave some set of instructions you don't want to execute based on certain conditions. In such cases we go for go to statement. As you can see there on the left hand side, what we are having, that is called as a forward jump or forward go to statement, that is go to label. Once I give their go to label, it will, the control will move from there. It will not execute the instructions which are next to go to label. It will go to the label given there. Label is just a name given to identify from where the execution has to start. This name can be any valid name. So this is the forward jump. Another case we have given, so go to label. So in case of go to label and moving the control back to the label, that is the backward jump. Now how this go to will work? For the go to work, we have not given there any condition as such. So before using go to, we have to always use a condition. If that particular condition is true, then we move to the particular label. So you should be very careful when you are using the go to statement, and you should be sure that if the certain condition what you are given there, if that matches, then where you have to jump and why you have to do that. You should be very clear on that, because if you simply give go to some other label, then your entire execution is disturbed and you will not may not get the proper output also. So you should be very careful while using the Goto statement. We'll see the examples for Goto, nesting if as well as else if ladder in the coming classes. Now this program is to demonstrate the use of Goto statement. Now the program what I have written over here is to find the sum of 5 natural numbers. You have already written a program in the assignment for finding the sum of n natural numbers. You made use of a looping construct for loop maybe, and you have written the program. Now same thing we can also perform without using the loops by making use of the Goto statement. So now here 5 numbers I'll accept. For example, if I accept, let us say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, then sum of that I'll have to display as the output, that is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. So that is why, because I am not making use of any of the looping constructs over here, so one variable I will take it to accept the input from the user. Next, I have to also keep track of the count. That is only 5 numbers I have to take from the user, right? So that is why I'll make use of a counter variable here, count, to count how many numbers the user has input. And then I will have to compute the sum, and I'll store the sum in a variable sum, and I will initialize it to 0. So now printf enter 5 numbers. The user will enter 5 numbers or maybe 6 numbers or maybe even 7 numbers he will enter. Because printf statement, after printf statement he will enter everything and press the enter key, because scanf, all these things are your buffered input function. So it will wait until the user presses the enter key. Right. So once user enters all the gives the input, it will he will once he hits enter, then the scanf function, now all this input will be stored in the buffer. So I have put a label there, b colon scanf. So from there I have indicated the label to start the execution as such. So first now percentage d scanf scanf percentage d comma ampersand num. So whatever input 5 numbers you are given, that will be stored in that variable num. One by one we are taking it for the execution. So it will be stored in the buffer. First number you have entered, let us say 1, that will be stored in first value in the num. Now next I'm computing the sum, that is sum I have already initialized to 0. So 0 plus the num. Now first value you are given is 1 there, so 0 plus 1, so new sum will be 1. Now I increment the count by 1, count becomes 1. So now I'm checking whether count is less than 5. So count is obviously less than 5 because the value of count is 1. So I'll give go to b. So now again the control will come back to the scanf statement. Now second number you have input, let us say as 2. Now that will be taken as the value of num, and same steps will be repeated until now first input you have taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until 5 inputs have been taken. So once the limit goes more than 5, then obviously the go to b will not be executed and it will come out and directly print the sum. So this is how we are going to make use of your go to statement.
Now we'll see a program to demonstrate the continue statement. So now here I've written this program to display the number starting from 0 to 4, and in that I don't want to display the number 2. So I have made use of the for loop over here. So for int j equal to 0, j is less than or equal to 4, j plus plus I have given. So this either I can write int j first, or within the loop also I can initialize, because this is the initialization part. So int j equal to 0. So I made use of the variable j here as a counter. So j is initialized to 0. Next, j, the test condition is that I want from 0 to 4. That's why I given until j is less than or equal to 4. This is the test condition, and go on incrementing because I'll have to display 0, 1, then 3 and 4. So I have used j plus plus here, incrementing the value of j. Now let us see what will happen as such. Now in the first iteration, j will be equal to 0 initialized. Then the condition is checked. J is less than or equal to 4. That is 0 is less than or equal to 4. Condition is true. So control will go inside the for loop. Now the if condition is tested. If j is equal to 2. Since j is 0, 0 is equal to 2. This is false. So that's why the control will directly go outside the if, and the printf percentage d comma j is executed. So 0 will be printed. Now again the control will come back to the for loop. Now the updation part is taking place. That is j plus plus is executed. So now j value was 0, j becomes 1 now. Now in the second iteration, now 1 is less than or equal to 4. So condition is true, so control will come inside the for loop. Now again the condition, if j is equal to 2 is tested. Now j is 1, 1 is equal to 2 is false. So control will directly come out of the if, and it will execute the printf statement. So printf percentage d comma j. So now 1 will be printed. Again control will come back to the for loop. Now j plus plus is executed. So now j value is incremented by 1. So j becomes now 2. So 2 is less than or equal to 4 is tested. Condition is true. So control will come inside the for loop. Now if j is equal to 2 is executed. J is now 2. So 2 is equal to 2 is true. So control will come inside the if part. Now we have given continue here. So that is why the execution should continue. So the j plus plus is executed. So now j is incremented by 1. J becomes 3 now. So 3 is less than or equal to 4 is tested. Condition is true. So control will come inside the if inside the for loop. Now again the condition, that is j is equal to 2. That is 3 is equal to 2 is tested. Condition is false. So control will come outside the if, and printf statement is executed. So printf percentage d comma j. Now 3 will be printed. So again control will come back to the for loop. J is incremented by 1. J becomes 4 now. So 4 is less than or equal to 4. Condition is true. Next control will come inside the for loop. So j equal to 2 is tested. Now j is 4. 4 is equal to 2 is false. So control will come outside the if, and printf statement is executed. That is percentage d comma j. So now 4 is printed. Now j will be incremented. J becomes 5. 5 is less than or equal to 4. Condition is false. So control will come outside the for loop, and return 0 is executed. So return 0 means program terminates. We are given here return 0 because we have mentioned it as int main. So function is going to return some integer value. That is why we have mentioned here return 0. So in this program, whenever the condition j is equal to 2, then this part, that is printf percentage d, will not be executed, and within the if part I have given just continue. So that's why directly the execution of for loop will be continued.